Hi, I'm Lee Kobe and we're at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway! Man, I always wanted to say that. Aloha race fans. Hey, you know that TV show Sports People Hawaii with Howard Deshevsky? Well, I called Howard my buddy and I told him, Howard, let's do a motorsports version of Sports People Hawaii. He said, well, Lee, can you hook us up into all the action? I called my friends over at Lucas Oil and they got us into the pits where all the heart-pounding action is. So stay tuned, check this out.
Aloha everybody and welcome to a special edition of Sports People Hawaii. I'm Howard Deshevsky. A special edition because we're coming to you from the Strip at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Oh man, how's that for sheer power? You can feel that horsepower. Just kind of rattles your entire body. We're gonna have a lot more of that coming up, dragsters and funny cars in the next 30 minutes. Also some great stories, some local folks, a lot of folks from Hawaii who come up here to race and to experience what it's like. We're gonna hear from a guy, one of the world champion racers who spends a lot of time in the islands, plus one guy who grew up tinkering on cars in Kaka'ako. Now he works on some of the biggest, fastest engines in the world. It's all coming your way on the next Sports People Hawaii, but first, as always, we're gonna take it home. Another tip to help you get fit quick.
This segment of Sports People Hawaii is brought to you by Kaiser Permanente. Thrive.
Hey, welcome back everybody to Sports People Hawaii. Even though there's not a racetrack on Oahu anymore, a lot of people take racing very seriously, including a funny car driver, Ron Kapp. He's a multi-world champion who races all over the world, but he wants to help bring racing back to the islands. Spends a lot of time in the Aloha State. At just 5 feet 8, 150 pounds, Ron Capps is anything but intimidating. But strap him into the cockpit of his Napa-sponsored funny car, and he becomes a giant among men. For people that don't get this, how many horsepower are we talking about?
10,000 horsepower. If you can imagine, each cylinder on my car makes more horsepower than a complete NASCAR engine. Just one cylinder, so over 10,000 horsepower.
The numbers are astonishing, and the sounds and the feel of the power these machines put out almost impossible to describe.
A lot of people think we're crazy at times, which we probably are, but it's an amazing. I grew up driving. I grew up as a crew member working on them, but then my first driving job was a dragster, so the engine was behind me. Now with the funny car, as you can see, I've got 10,000 horsepower right in front of me, and it's a completely different animal. It's got the fiberglass body on the front that goes over me. It's a ride and a half, I'll tell you that. When I hit the gas, it's 0 to 100 miles per hour in less than 1 second. It's amazing. It's more G-forces than anything on the planet but a fighter pilot. More G-forces than the space shuttle astronauts go through. And when you hit the parachutes, it's upwards of negative 8 or 9 Gs. So there's a lot going on. And there's loud, there's stuff flying around, it smells, there's so many little things that go on in 4 seconds or less. It's an amazing ride. Sometimes you get out of the car and you have to think about what just happened. It's like you sort of went through time travel.
As a premier driver on the NHRA circuit, Capps does a lot of traveling, hitting tracks all over the country. But the one place he loves coming to, perhaps more than anywhere else, Hawaii. A place he discovered thanks to his former crew chief and legendary Hawaii racer, Roland Leon.
The first time that I showed up in Hawaii to do my very first trip, I found out why he is such a legend in Hawaii, why he is so loved here in the States as a racer, a legendary racer.
Capps says the first time he set foot in the islands, he felt as if he were at home.
You hear about that feeling you get when you go to Hawaii, not as a tourist or visitor, because that's great, but when you feel like you're welcomed by family and they take you to places that they go eat and places that they only go hang out, that's when you know you've transferred over into that family part of Hawaii. And so now, I mean, every trip we make over there is so much fun.
But beyond the fun, he also has a mission in the islands to see racing return to its former glory.
My first time going to a drag strip in Hawaii was Maui, and they had Ron Capps Day. The last race of the year was November, and I couldn't believe the amount of people that showed up. That made me feel really good. But more importantly, every time I've gone to Hawaii at the different drag strips, Hilo we've been to, is the amount of racers that are in Hawaii that still have their race cars that are nicer and faster than a lot of the cars we have out here. And I had more fun at those drag strips than I ever have out here. And that's why it's important that we're working to hopefully open another drag strip or get one started back up in Oahu. And I hope we can help with that. But it's needed to get those kids off the street, first of all. Yeah. But people don't realize how many racers are still in Hawaii.
In my generation, cars were a big deal. You know, a lot of people they didn't have concerts, they didn't have iPads, iPods, didn't have all that, okay? And we were car guys, you know what I mean? And like I say, guys asked me if I surf, I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I said, no, at the time you either surf or, you know, racing. I said, well, I race.
I think the biggest issue with racing in Hawaii and the kids is just a means to keep them off the street and put them on the track. It's a way to make families stay involved because it's one of the sports that as a parent, you have to be involved. If your kids are doing junior dragster racing, the parents have to tow the car there, they have to have a truck to get there, so it really keeps them. There's a saying that says, get your kids addicted to racing and they won't get addicted to drugs and bad things like that.
And back to the track here in Las Vegas. Like every other stop, there's no guarantee you'll be racing for the championship come Sunday. No matter how many titles you've earned, you still need to qualify on Friday and Saturday.
There's added pressure, but I got a great group you see behind me. Race car's ready to run. There's 8 guys that have been working all night on it, and we're going to go up there and try to do our best.
And because these cars put out so much power, so much heat and energy, they pretty much destroy their engines. It often means turning over the entire engine in a matter of minutes. Daniel, you're a car guy back home, but yes, this stuff is just crazy, huh?
Oh yeah, I work on cars every day, but nothing like this. Like, I just do stock stuff, but seeing this, how they tear it down, and each one of them just tear the whole car down in seconds is just awesome. It takes me, like the guy said, it takes me 3 weeks to do an engine. These guys do it in less than 30 minutes. It's so awesome.
Like inches away, I can smell the fumes hurting the lungs, feel the heat from the motor. It's unbelievable. I'm a car mechanic, yep, so seeing these guys, it's like they're top of the game. Like, I'm trying to get to that level.
That's what makes the sport great. The fans are all out there walking around, smelling the nitromethane, listening to the engines. It's a great sport.
Ron Capp getting ready for another one of his great races. The amazing thing about this guy is after he wins, they got to rebuild the entire engine. They do it in about 30 minutes. Unbelievable stuff. Stick around, everybody. When we come back, you're going to meet a guy who grew up working on engines in Kaka'ako. Now he's here working for one of the biggest teams in the land.
This segment of Sports People Hawaii is brought to you by New City Nissan.
Hey, welcome back to Sports People Hawaii, everybody. A lot of folks in the islands know the name Todd Okuhara. He used to tinker on engines in his family shop in Kaka'ako. These days, he works on this engine for Team Schumacher, and they win world championships. To say Todd Okuhara's racing career has been impressive would be an understatement of huge proportions. The kid who grew up on Oahu has carved out such an amazing career, even he has a hard time sometimes putting it into words.
You know, I'm just really fortunate to be doing what I'm doing, you know. I have a job I love doing, and it's always a new challenge, different places, and I just feel really fortunate I'm able to do this.
Today, Okuhara is director of racing for the legendary Hall of Fame racer and owner Don Schumacher.
my dad's machine shop, myself, my two brothers, we used to work there, and that's how we kind of got all started. And we used to race at Hawaii Racing Park, and like I say, I was just one of the lucky ones that got to do this.
So you had a little machine shop in Kaka'ako, and now you're a crew chief for Schumacher Racing. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No. Don Schumacher's, the best owner out here, and the biggest team with all the resources and parts, pieces that we need to do what we got to do. We've got so much talented people that work for us, that help us, and make us all better.
Of course, with all the fun comes incredible responsibility, with millions of dollars on the line. And it's Todd's job to manage the entire team.
How Don does it, he'll hire the crew chief and the driver, and it's up to us to make it all happen, as far as managing the team, parts, the pieces, what we spend. So yeah, it's a lot more than just coming to the racetrack and running the car.
And nobody knows that any better than his driver.
When you're racing 10,000 horsepower engines, running on nitromethane, anything can happen in this sport. So as a driver, the last thing you want to do getting in a race car is have a false sense of security or be worried about anything on the outside. You want your main focus to be driving the race car.
And with Todd?
And with Todd here, obviously his level of expertise is as good as anybody's out here, and he's very familiar with the part. So it's a good combination of having a crew chief with a driver, to where a driver can go to the crew chief and say, hey, I felt this, or it sounded like this, and they know exactly what you're talking about.
And when he looks at these cars, or maybe better stated, these ground-based rocket ships, Okuhara says the whole thing still blows him away.
Oh, absolutely. They say it's 10,000 horsepower. Last night's run, we ran 332 miles an hour at the 1,000-foot mark, which that's pretty good. It's just a thrill. Every time the car goes on the track and it puts up a number, it's just a thrill for him.
A thrill also for Todd's #1 fan. When you see this machine that Todd works on now, can you even believe what he's doing?
No. It's really different, Yeah, it's completely different from when my husband used to race, It's different.
Would you ever want to ride in there?
No.
No way.
No way. And I don't even want to be close to it because it's just super loud, Unbelievable.
Although Okuhara grew up racing himself, he says that was all just for fun.
This being on a professional level and stuff, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, so we've got to be on the game.
Knowing what these machines are capable of, would you even want to be inside one of these going down the track?
No, I'm fully content just watching it go down the track.
And while he has no desire to be strapped inside one of these machines, he says he would like to race again one day in Hawaii. He also says it's critical to bring racing back to the island of Oahu.
I think it's very important. People will do it on the street, unfortunately, and the safety aspect, people doing it under controlled circumstances with safety people. I'm a big believer that I really would love to see another racetrack in Oahu where people can go and do their thing. And hopefully other people can come up here and be fortunate to do what I do here.
And while something this grand could never happen in Hawaii for logistical and financial reasons, Okuhara and everybody else associated with the racing game says you gotta see it and feel it to fully understand it.
Every time I try to get people to come in for the first time, it's hard to put in words to describe it because they have in their mind what drag racing is, and it's such a big business now, and the sponsors, the people, and I haven't met anybody that's come here and hasn't just been in awe of the whole thing.
And to this very day, he still sometimes has to pinch himself to believe it's real, that he's really doing what he's doing on the world's biggest stage.
Every year, something bigger, better, newer, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's been a good ride.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
331 plus miles per hour. Can't even imagine. And Todd is the head of the crew that operates this machine. Amazing stuff. And when we come back, a guy who's, you know his name on school buses, but he also likes a little faster vehicle too. Welcome back, everybody, to the NHRA Championships at the Las Vegas, Nevada Speedway. One guy that a lot of people see his name on a bus, Gomes, as in Gomes school buses. Yeah, that's safe driving. But Mr. Gomes likes to drive fast and has a lot of friends here at NHRA. When you hear the name Gomes associated with transportation, you don't think so much of race cars, but maybe something a little bit more mellow and yellow.
We used to carry school kids.
This would be the opposite end of the spectrum. Tell me about this world of transportation.
My grandfather started when before I was born, and then he passed away when I was about 4 years old. My dad used to race out in Kahuku in 1995, 96. I got the taste of racing and drag racing, and I started from there.
The third generation racer was part of an entire family of guys that loved putting the pedal to the metal, something he says many Hawaii families still yearn to do.
On Oahu, we don't have a track no more. You got kids, you know, every young kid wants to have a race car, and you got no place to go ahead and have the experience to race a car where it's legal and safe. So we really need a track.
These days, Gomes continues to race, shipping his car inter-island at least once a year to experience the thrill. And even though he's a licensed NHRA drag racer, he knows it's a huge leap from the drag strips of Hawaii to here.
But when you get behind the wheel and hit the accelerator,
oh, it's a rush. It's a high, and I love it. I love to do it.
Now, even though that you have experience as a racer, you hear that behind you, could you even imagine what it's like for those guys?
Oh, it must be mean. It must be something that is outrageous. This is the ultimate. You know, I mean, this is a dream to race up there. And maybe one day it would be nice to race here, but it's a long dream.
Another new short block here, Chop.
One man who is now living that long dream is Lucas Oil Team driver Richie Crampton, who made the big leap, going from being part of the pit crew to being the guy strapped in the cockpit.
Yeah, this is the 10,000 horsepower Lucas Oil Top Fuel dragster that I drive. Covers our 1,000-foot drag strip in about 3.7 seconds at 320, 330 miles an hour. It truly is being strapped to a rocket, you know. These race cars accelerate faster than anything else on the planet. It goes from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 0.8 of a second. So it's about 6 G's of acceleration on your body. It's extremely hard to see. It's very blurry for the first 600 feet of the run, and from that point on, it sets you back in the seat harder than anything you've ever felt before.
I was going to ask, how do you keep your eyeballs in your head?
Yeah, I don't know. Luckily for me, they stay intact.
One of the great things of being in this event, unlike a football game or any other sporting event, you get to watch the action from feet away. It's literally like being on the bench at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly, because they're doing the car right here. You get to talk with the driver beforehand, if you can, and then it's just so nuts. It's like 5 feet away from the car, and even on the track, you're still closer than like the sidelines and everything. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. Can't even explain it.
If you could just feel the concussion sitting in the stands, it vibrates through your whole body. It's like nothing you've ever experienced in your life. You gotta come at least once. You have to come at least once. You feel it go completely through your body. That much horsepower, that fast, it's a mind-blowing experience.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't think I need a plane to get back to Hawaii. That does it for this episode of Sports People Hawaii. I want to thank Lee Cobian and Enda Ching of 7-Eleven Hawaii. Mahalo to everybody here at NHRA in Las Vegas. This has been a blast. We'll see you next time, everybody, on Sports People Hawaii. Wow!